Hi, this is Melanie for the Pardesi channel. I'm here to discuss the Tamil Mani Ratnam film Chekka Chivantha Vaanam. I finally got to see my second Mani Ratnam film in the theater. I think I've seen a dozen of his other films. And they are some of my favorite films. It started with Dil Se because I'm such a big Shah Rukh Khan fan, but I have seen Lyca and Talkies, so many others. I still have more to see. You know, I need to see Erappa, I need to see so many other of his films. But to me, Mani Ratnam is my, what I think is the best of Indian directors. And so I go into a film with expectations way up here. Now, if this is just, I don't know, another Mahesh Babu action film or whatever, like, I don't necessarily go in with expectations up to here. But when the Mani Ratnam name is attached to it, I do. So you can kind of hear in my voice probably that there's a but coming. I was excited for the trailer. Obviously, it was a return to the kind of gangster kind of films that Mani Ratnam has done in the past. Like I mentioned, Nayakan. And I could tell it was set up to be a drama where you have Prakash Raj as the patriarch of a gang family. Then, as I found out, there's 3 sons. Arvind Swami playing the eldest son. Arun Vijay is the second son, who we find out is situated in Dubai. And then we have the 3rd son, played by, I guess he's known as Silambarasan. And then the 4th male lead is Vijay Sethupathi, and I was most excited that Vijay, who is an actor I really admire, was finally working with Mani Ratnam in a film. So we saw in the trailer that Vijay was some sort of a cop, but who was under some sort of cloud for, you know, a killing or a beating or something. And then we had this, you know, all sorts of dramatic shootouts and an intense gun to the head kind of thing happening in a car at one point between the different men, some to all be in the same car together. And there are women. There's Aditi Hydari, who is in the trailer we saw was a reporter, but we learn in the film that she's actually the mistress of the Arvind Swami character. And then he also has a wife played by Jyothika. And there's other smaller roles for Prakash Raj's wife and the girlfriend of STR's, who becomes his wife, and then the Arun Vijay's character. Unlike many other Mani Ratnam films, the women in this film really had a secondary part to, it's really the story of these 4, or you could say 5 men, the 3 brothers plus Vijay plus Prakash Raj. And the drama of, you have the order of succession. You know, who's going to take over the empire? Who is going to take over? Prakash Raj is supposed to be the most powerful man, you know, in the state. Like, he's so powerful. And who has attacked him and who is really behind it, and the fighting between the brothers as suspicions mount. Is it someone from the inside? Is it someone from the outside? Who is responsible? And I sat there in the theater and I felt like I was seeing a regular action film. And it was so many characters and so much going on that I never really felt a connection to any one person. I just didn't have an emotional connection. When someone got hurt or someone was killed, I didn't necessarily feel it in my gut the way I have in other Mani Ratnam films. And there wasn't really a love story. Everything was either an established marriage or an established mistress or whatever. So there wasn't anything like that to draw me into the story, which is okay, but I'm just saying, that's not what this film is about. It's an action film. Now, the action sequences were very good. The fights were very good. It was amazing to me who I have not seen Arvind Swami in a recent film. And it was amazing to me to see him so buff, so fit, and playing such an interesting part of someone who had lived in his father's shadow and then was having to try to take control. And he has a very emotional scene at the end of the movie that was quite affecting and quite good. And I was impressed with the acting, especially of the other two brothers. I mean, I knew I was going to be impressed with Vijay Sethupathi, and I felt like there were certain scenes where you could just see a ripple of thoughts and emotions go across his face. He's a master. I just really enjoyed those close-up scenes of him where Mani Ratnam took advantage of what a good actor he is to play this part that he does in the movie. He's a friend of the family, friend of Arvind Swami's character. And so even though he's a cop, he's kind of on the inside. And I was really impressed with the acting of the other two brothers, who I may have seen them in other films, but not as leads, certainly. And I was impressed with both of them. So Arun Vijay is supposed to be like the sophisticated brother that's trying to do business in the Gulf and Dubai. STR is playing this gun runner, whatever, in Serbia, in Eastern Europe, and trying to establish himself in another country. So when something happens to the father, to Prakash Raj, everyone comes home, they unite for a while, and then, to me, it was almost like you threw a bunch of rats in a sack and saw who was going to chew their way out, or kill the other ones or whatever. It was just, it was like Game of Thrones, kind of like, all sorts of permutations, who was siding with who was plotting against who. It was just really intense and complicated, and like I said, good action scenes and a good, very final sequence. Really good scene with Arvind Swami, a fight at the end that was amazing. Final confrontations were very exciting, and there was a twist to the ending, which in retrospect you sort of could see coming, but was effective. Now, but I just kept sitting there in the theater, and I'm like, am I missing something? And because normally I'm so pulled into a Mani Ratnam film. I don't always, but I read Bharadwaj Rangan's review of this film before I did this, because I'm like, am I just missing it? And he literally wrote the book on Mani Ratnam, okay? Like, he's interviewed him many times. He's written a book about him. He loves Mani Ratnam films. And he said about the first half that it felt generic. That was the term that he used, like a generic action flick. And I was like, yes, that's exactly how I felt. And he also talked about how it was so disjointed, and the way it was edited and put together, and there were so many characters that you were switching between, that you never felt a strong connection to any one character. It's not that the acting was bad or anything, but it's not like Nikon, where we're staying with Kamal Hassan most of the time, right? And just seeing life through his eyes. You just didn't latch on to any one particular character. Well, you see the craft in the way shots were set up. If he also felt like, okay, I'm watching an average film, an average Mani Ratnam film, then I wasn't totally out of bounds. And I've been seeing other extremely positive reviews, especially of fans saying, he's back, Mani Ratnam's back. And yes, if you're looking for an exciting action film, that's what this is. It's an exciting gangster action film. I'm trying not to spoil anything more about the plot, but I just didn't connect with it as I have some other Mani Ratnam films. I enjoyed it. I just, like I said, when it's Mani Ratnam, my expectations are way up here, not like here, like with some other films. And that's maybe the problem, is I went in, I don't know, just expecting the best ever, and it left me wanting a little bit. But I would still recommend seeing it in film. It's an exciting film, especially to see on the big screen. There's a lot of great car chases and fights and action scenes and so forth. And I was kept guessing until the very end of how everything was going to shake out. I mean, there was even certain characters that I suspected might have been behind everything that weren't, and loyalties were stronger in some places than I would have expected and weaker in other places than I would have expected. That's all I'll say. So I was, not everything was completely by the book predictable. I hope that Vijay Sethupathi will work with Mani Ratnam again, because I think he's such a strong actor and I would love to see him in another film. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I always love stories, but it's not just that, because I do enjoy a good thriller and action film. This particular one just didn't necessarily connect with me. It's not one that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to see that again and again and again. I don't have that feeling about this film. But I still would encourage you to see it, because I think it's a fine film. It's just not the best Mani Ratnam film. And unfortunately, there are so many more of those that I have to catch up on. Anyway, let me know if you've seen the film. What did you think? Tell me in the comments below. Am I crazy? Is Pirate Bunch crazy? Or did you also have some of the same feelings that I did about the film? Follow me on Twitter at PardeziYT. Please like and share this video. Subscribe here to the Pardesi channel. And if you hit the bell, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.